Hello friends, let's prepare for common PG entrance test of English literature with me. So today's topic is British prose of 18th century. So this topic has a vast knowledge to gain. So let's start from the question number 1. We will cover approximately 50 MCQs in this chapter in this video. So let's start the first question. First question is, in the history of English literature, first time during 18th century, which literary work occupies the front position? So the front position was occupied by prose in the 18th century. Question number 2, which was the age of social, political, religious and literary controversies in which prominent writers took an active part? So it was both age of reason and a classical age, so both B and A will be answer. Question number 3, during 18th century, people had begun to read the prominent writers' work and take interest in the controversial matters. Das was considered inadequate for such a task. So, poetry was considered inadequate for such a task. Question number 4, who excelled the poets in every respect during 18th century? uh, who excelled the poets in every respect during 18th century? It is prose writers. Okay. Question number 5, which literary work had become prosaic, its subject matter, and had become criticism, satire, controversy, and written in the form of essay during 18th century? It is poetry. Okay, question number 6. During the 18th century, poetry lacked the poetic glow. Which age and become witty and artificial? So during 18th century, poetry lacked the poetic glow of which age? So the poetic glow, it was of options are here. It was of Elizabethan age. So option B will be answer. Question number 7. The chief literary glory of classical age was classical age का glory था prose. Okay. Question number 8, which characteristics of the restoration period was carried to further perfection during 18th century? Which characteristics of the restoration? The characteristics of restoration was both A and B. It means realism and precision. Question number 9, who perfected the heroic couplet? Heroic couplet was perfected by Alexander Pope's poetry. Okay. Question number 10, realism and precision were developed into a clear, precise and elegant form of expression by which literary personality? So which literary personality developed realism and precision? Okay, so it was developed by Prose of Addison. Okay, Prose of Thomas Addison. Question number 11, another literary characteristics of this age or the classical age which result from the unfortunate union of politics with literature? So it was satire. Question number 12, which work cannot reach the great literary heights because of finding fault with the opponents and is destructive in its intention during the 18th century? So which work cannot reach the great literary heights? Okay, so it was satire. Question number 13, another important feature of the classical age was the origin and development of the dash. Feature of classical age was origin and development of novels. Question number 14, how evolution of the novel took place during the 18th century? How evolution of the novel took place during the 18th century? So it was developed by excellent prose style and realism of the age. So both A and B will be the answer. Question number 15, the 18th century was deficient in dash because the old Puritans prejudiced against the theatre continued and the court also withdrew its patronage. So answer will be drama. Okay. Question number 16. Who were the only writers that produced plays having literary merit during the classical age? Who were the only writers? So answer will be Goldsmith and Sheridan. Okay. Question number 17. The early part of the 18th century during the age of dash. During the age of dash, the early part of the 18th century, the classical rules, ideas, regent supreme. Okay, question सुन लिया तो आंसर होगा ड्यूरिंग द एज ऑफ अलेक्जेंडर पोप. Question number 18. During the age of 18th century, a revival of the romantic tendency began to appear, which was the characteristics of Elizabethan period. Which was the characteristics of Elizabethan period? So characteristics of Elizabethan period was age of Dr. Johnson. Okay. Question number 19. Which title was given to 18th century literature in England? 18th century literature को दिया गया था टाइटल क्लासिकल एज एंड अगस्टन एज. तो बोथ ए एंड बी विल बी द आंसर. क्वेश्चन नंबर 20. 18th century literature is also called what? It is also called 18th century literature also called age of good sense and age of reason. So both A and B will be the answer. Question number 21. Who belonged to the 17th century also included in the classical or Augustan age? जो 17th century से आए थे लेकिन Augustan age में ही मतलब वो अगस्टन एज से भी बिलोंग करते हैं. तो बोथ 17th एंड 18th सेंचुरी से बिलोंग करने वाले कौन थे? तो वो थे जॉन ड्राइडन. क्वेश्चन नंबर 22. Other great literary figures who dominated the classical or Augustan age successively were. और कौन कौन थे जो डोमिनेंट थे क्लासिकल और अगस्टन एज के? तो वो थे Alexander Pope and Dr. Johnson. Question number 23. The classical age is divided into how many periods? Classical age was divided into mainly 3 periods. Question number 24. The age of Dryden, Pope and Dr. Johnson are included in which period? Age of Dryden, Pope and Dr. Johnson included in 18th century. So it is so common question that can fall. Question number 25. Age of Dryden also dealt with which period? Age of Dryden also dealt with which period? It is also dealt with Restoration period. Question number 26. Which term refers in general applies to writers of the highest rank in any nation? Which term refers in general applies to writers of the highest rank? So जो highest rank के writers उनको generally क्या term से बुलाया जाता है? तो उनको कहा जाता है classic. Question number 27. Classic term was first applied to the work of which great writer? Classic term was first applied to the work of both Greek writers and Roman writers. So answer C will be the option. C will be the answer. यहाँ पर नहीं, sorry. हाँ. Okay. Question number 28. Why the writers of the 18th century in England began to be called classical writer? तो 18th century के writers जो इंग्लैंड में तो उनको क्यों classical writers बोला गया था? They follow the simple and noble methods of the great ancient writers. They have their own ideas to conduct. They have normal earnestness of Puritanism. So answer होगा they follow the simple and noble methods of the great ancient writers. Answer होगा option A. Question number 29. When a large number of writers produce works of great merit in every nation or national literature, such a period is often called. When a large number of writers produce works of great merit in every national literature, such a period, so ये वाले period को बोला जाता है classical period. Okay. classical period. Question number 30. The region of Augustan is called the classical age of Rome. The classical age of Rome. Question number 31. The age of Dante is called the classical age of Italian literature. The classical age of Italian literature इसको बोला जाता है the age of Dante. Question number 32. During the classical period, the English writers rebelled against the exaggerated and fantastic style of writing prevalent during which ages? During the classical period, the English writers rebelled against the exaggerated and fantastic style of prevalent during which ages? So it was Elizabethan age and Puritan age both. So answer will be option C. Question number 33. 18th century writers were influenced by French writers, especially who? So स्पेशली कौन से फ्रेंच राइटर्स से 18th सेंचुरी के राइटर इंस्पायर्ड थे? तो हम उनका नाम ले सकते हैं. ही वॉज बोइलियो एंड रेपिन. ओके. क्वेश्चन नंबर 34. Who insisted on precise methods of writing poetry and who professed to have discovered their rules in the classics of Horace and Aristotle? Who insisted on precise methods of writing poetry? Okay, so French writers insisted the precise methods of writing poetry. Answer will be option C. Question number 35. What is pseudo-classicism? The pseudo-classicism can be referred as false or sham classicism. Question answer will be B. Question number 36. Why the classicism of 18th century literature writers is called pseudo-classicism? 18th century के literature writers को pseudo-classicism क्यों बोला जाता था उनके classicism को? Because it was followed by ancient classical writers only in their external performance, and it was also lacked their sublimity and grandeur. So both A and B will be answer. Okay, so both A and B will be answer. Question number 37. Why 18th century classical age is preferably called the Augustan age? क्यों इसको Augustan age कहा जाता है? सबसे ज़्यादा बोला जाने वाला टर्म है क्लासिकल एज को या फिर 18th सेंचुरी को. इसको अगस्टन एज क्यों बोला जाता है? बिकॉज द राइटर्स ओनली इमिटेटेड द आउटवर्ड ट्रेपिंग ऑफ द एंशिएंट राइटर्स एंड दे कुड नॉट गेट एट देयर इनर स्पिरिट. सो ये दोनों ही होंगे आंसर. सो बोथ ए एंड बी विल बी द आंसर. ऑप्शन सी, बोथ ए एंड बी विल बी द आंसर. क्वेश्चन नंबर 38. The term Augustan age was chosen by the writers of which age? Augustan age was chosen by writer of 18th century writers. Question number 39. 18th century literature is generally called by which term? 18th century को literature दो term थे, classical age and Augustan age. So it is two general terms for 18th century literature. Question number 40. Who made Roman literature famous during the reign of Emperor Augustus? Who made Roman literature famous in the region of Emperor Augustus? अगस्टस एम्परर के वक्त पर टाइम पर कौन रोमन लिटरेचर को ज़्यादा फेमस किए? तो वो थे होरेस, वर्जिल एंड सिजेरो. ठीक है, बोथ ए एंड बी विल बी आंसर. क्वेश्चन नंबर 41. Why the 18th century is also called the age of reason and the age of good sense? So ये क्यों कहा जाता है दोनों को? क्योंकि in every matter man should apply his own reason and common sense. ये टाइम था जहाँ पर मैन एक पर्टिकुलर एक इंडिविजुअल आदमी अपना गुड सेंस, रीजंस, ये सारा अप्लाई करता था कुछ भी चीज़ों पर, एंड पीपल बिगिन टू थिंक दैट undue respect for authority of the ancient was a great source of error. So both A and B will be answer. Okay. Question number 42. Critics could declare that the validity of the rulers of art was derived from dash. Critics could declare that the validity of the rulers of art was derived from reason. Okay, so it was derived from reason. So ये critics बोलते थे. Question number 43. During 17th century, who stood against the ancient authority in secular matters? During 17th century, who stood against the ancient authority in secular matters? Sir Thomas Browne stood against the ancient authority in 17th century. Question number 44. Who declared that in religion, haggard and unreclaimed reason must stop unto the lure of faith? Who declared this line? So it was declared by Sir Thomas Browne. It was declared by Sir Thomas Browne. Question number 45. The great philosopher Das had opined that there was no war between faith and reason. So which philosopher said that? Which philosopher said these lines? It was said by John Locke. Okay. Question number 46. Who declared faith in an essay concerning human understanding in 1690? Who declared faith in an essay concerning human understanding in age 1690? So it was declared by जॉन लॉक. ठीक है. सो फेथ के बारे में अगर कोई क्वेश्चन आए, सो इट विल बी आंसर लाइक इट विल बी द जॉन लॉक. ओके. क्वेश्चन नंबर 47. व्हाई the need of the expert of specialist vanishes during the 18th century? Why the need of the expert of specialist vanishes during the 18th century? Because every man becomes his own philosopher. सब अपने अपने ही फिलोसोफर बन गए, and every man is competed to decide. Okay, both A and B will be the answer. Option C. Question number 48. Nature to advantage dressed what often was thought that never so well expressed. Who said the above lines? These lines were said by Alexander Pope, the great poet of 18th century. Question number 49. Who remarked about Gray's elegy that is around with images which find a mirror in every mind, and with sentiments to which every blossom returns an echo? Okay, so it was said by, it was an elegy. Okay, so it was said by Dr. Johnson. Question number 49, answer will be Dr. Johnson. Question number 50. Who said that the highest type of art which deals with what is general and universal rather than with what is individual and particular? Who said the highest type of art deals with what is general and universal? Okay, so it was said by Alexander Pope and all-time great Dr. Johnson. So the both are were famous poets and literary figure of 18th century of Augustan age. So here we have to end this फर्स्ट पार्ट ऑफ द वीडियो. सो हमने यहाँ पर 50 क्वेश्चंस कवर किए. अगर आपको वीडियो अच्छा लगे तो मेरे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कीजिए, दोस्तों के साथ शेयर कीजिए जो इंग्लिश लिटरेचर के पीजी के लिए एंट्रेंस एग्ज़ाम देने वाले हैं. आई विल मीट यू इन द सेकंड वीडियो ऑफ दिस टॉपिक, British prose of 18th century. So till then, please subscribe my channel and share with your friends, like, and don't forget to add a comment on the topic. Thank you.